A desperate wife took her husband to a homeless shelter and left him there overnight without his belongings. It was the final decisive step, risky and desperate. A few days later, while checking the surveillance cameras, she couldn't believe what she saw. The footage revealed unexpected events that overturned her understanding of the situation. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tales Unveiled. Today, I am excited to share a new story with you. Let's begin. It will be interesting and instructive for all. Mark was on a roll, or at least that's what he tried to convince himself. He sat hunched over the computer, hands trembling, immersed in the numbers on the screen. The screen was filled with bright and persistent numbers. He was drawn into a matter he couldn't fully explain even to himself, although he called it investing. Anna, Mark's wife of 10 years, knew the truth. These nightly sessions, accompanied by takeout containers and empty promises, were a problem destroying their life. She thought it couldn't get any worse, but when her gaze fell on the empty velvet box, her heart clenched with pain. The box held Mark's grandmother's antique family ring since their wedding, but now it was gone. Without a doubt, the ring had ended up in a pawn shop. It was the last straw in a series of neglects and mistakes that were ruining their relationship and life. Everything seemed hopeless. The story was just beginning, and the consequences of this decision were yet to be revealed. More will unfold later. Stay tuned for developments. Her eyes slid over the faded inscription, "Always and Forever." A bitter laugh escaped her. How many always had he already sacrificed? How many forevers had he already gambled away? This was not a mistake or a bad night. It was a painful pattern, hurting them both. Logic didn't help. Tears didn't help. How had gambling become so destructive? Stakes used to be sharp thrills. Now they were an anchor pulling down. He was pulling down not only himself but Anna as well. Her fingers reached for the phone before courage could fade. There was only one chance left. "Sarah, this is Anna. I don't know what else to do. Mark won't listen. All the savings and the retirement fund are just numbers on a screen to him now." Sarah's voice, on the other end of the line, was a mix of sympathy and firm determination. Sarah worked at a shelter in the city center and had seen the devastation caused by addiction. "Dear, I understand this seems radical, but sometimes decisive measures are necessary. Bring him tomorrow, under some pretext. From there, everything depends on you. We can try to give him a dose of reality. It won't be easy, but it's necessary." She decided to be attractive, hoping this would finally open his eyes. It was her last desperate attempt, hoping that the loved one was still alive inside him. The worn-out taxi screeched to a stop at their house. Anna wasted no time and immediately began putting the plan into action. Mark suspected nothing. He considered it a funny trifle, part of his VIP access to the new mysterious casino. He decided not to tell Anna. She wouldn't understand the thrill of surprise. Looking at his suit, he got into the taxi. Mark imagined the high-stakes games that awaited him. But the taxi suddenly stopped at a dilapidated building, and his confidence wavered. His phone and wallet were left with Anna. He found himself trapped, unable to object in time. Two strong men stood on either side, their grip surprisingly firm. "Come on, buddy. It's time to go," one rasped. He was led into the building. He looked out the window. Delusion overtook him. This was not a casino district with neon lights and promises of wealth. Instead of sparkle and glamour, there was only a flickering pawn shop sign and abandoned display windows. His stomach churned as his escorts led him onto the cracked sidewalk beneath the shop sign. The words etched above the dingy awning struck him hard. Hope, well, homeless, shelter. His breath caught in his throat. Shelter. What a cruel joke. A mistake. Mark, a social worker for years, dedicated to helping others, was now trapped among them. His frantic eyes searched for an escape route, but the taxi was already pulling away, leaving him alone with his escorts. Anna had been more ruthless than he ever imagined. The shelter was nothing like he had imagined. Doors locked for safety, harsh lights glaring, the smell of disinfectant heavy in the air, and a restless buzz of people. But it was the eyes he couldn't forget. The woman slumped on a bench, her vacant stare, or the man with shaking hands begging desperately for spare change. His expensive suit felt absurd here. His thoughts were a blur of broken sleep and panicked dreams, where Anna's face constantly taunted him. One afternoon, he saw Anna pull up outside, a flash of their old life. Rage flared inside him, then quickly fizzled out. How had he fallen so far? She had to do this to him, make him one of the very people he once helped. Mark's world had turned upside down in a cruel twist of fate. "Do you mind if we join you?" A gentle voice interrupted his thoughts. A thin woman with kind eyes sat next to him, while a younger man stood protectively nearby. "I'm Eleanor, and this is my son Tom," she said softly. Mark mumbled his name, surprised by her warmth. He wasn't used to kindness in this place. "We heard you talking to an intake worker yesterday," Eleanor continued. "It seemed like you've been in places like this before." Mark shifted uncomfortably, avoiding the topic. He didn't want to discuss how he ended up here. Their story spilled out in hesitant fragments, his past filled with pain and loss. Her husband had lost their retirement fund. A lifetime of work vanished in a blink of an eye. It promised a sure thing. Tom muttered bitterly. "High returns, low risk, all the usual lies," Tom said, his voice filled with bitterness. A knot of shame tightened in Mark's stomach. He knew those lies well. Days later, Eleanor approached him, clutching a worn paperback in her hands. "They have a group thing in the rec room. You should come," she said gently. "It might do you some good," she added. He wanted to scoff, but her eyes held unexpected steel and sincerity. Ray's smile could not have been worse than the sullen grimace he wore every time the news came in. Something was clearly troubling Mark, and the question hung in the air. Irritation flashed across his face. But before he could answer, he heard Tom struggle to utter a desperate phone call from the corridor. "Kate, I don't know how much longer I can hold on," he said on the phone to his ex-partner, begging for help. It was a sign of his desperation. That night, the thrill of gambling gripped him like claws. Eleanor's face floated in his mind. "They're coming, the players," she said sadly. At first, stories, failures, wrong decisions, and then, well, you'll see for yourself. The realization hit him with icy clarity. This was not a game. These were bets. This was who he was becoming. Mark understood. He was wrong, but he could fight and help others. He wasn't going to let them down. Soon, an opportunity to help appeared. Eleanor was filling out paperwork, struggling with the maze of aid forms, but Mark managed. He delved deeper, uncovering a loophole, a small chance for subsidized housing for those whose hardships were so severe that they deserved support. This was the beginning of his struggle and helping others who found themselves in a similar situation. It was a big gamble, almost hopeless, but a spark ignited when Tom saw his mother's face brighten and the frown disappear. "How did you find out?" Mark whispered. Tom squinted and said he knew this place all too well, too. Tom guessed that Mark was another player who had lost everything. Mark hesitated between lying and risking breaking Eleanor's trust. "Something like that," Mark admitted. Rumors quickly spread through the worn-out housing complex, people whispering, calling Mark a former housing worker. A few days later, a line formed outside Mark's door, people holding eviction notices and eyes full of despair. They lost benefits and got lost in the maze of bureaucracy, and Mark now knew how to handle it. It was almost pleasant to use old skills not for profit and dependency, but to help those the system tries to break. Those sleepless nights were different. The thrill still tormented him like phantom pain from a past life. He tried to leave the past behind. But the faces of those he helped, a woman with trembling hands, holding an approved application, and a tired father, holding back tears, were stronger than anything. These faces became his support. One night, desire turned into a panic attack, and he found himself on the floor, gasping for breath, the world seeming to spin around its axis. An old man with missing teeth appeared, who understood battles both in shabby apartments and in Vegas casinos. He offered a bitter drink that calmed the mind. Meanwhile, Anna doubted whether she had done the right thing, wondering if she had gone too far. Sarah, her friend from the shelter, got surveillance footage for her. Anna barely recognized the person on the screen. The grainy video showed the daily hustle of the shelter. Anna's fingers tightened on the mouse, her stomach twisted with anxiety. There he was, among worn faces, moving unnoticed. Every frame reminded her of what she knew but did not want to admit. Mark showed quiet efficiency, nothing like the man Anna remembered. He seemed different, a person with a new purpose and meaning in life. He offered the frozen woman an old blanket, his smile tense but sincere. He patiently listened to the incoherent story of an elderly man. His own fatigue receded for a moment. Sarah was right. The changes were obvious, and the good deeds left no doubt. Anna found it hard to accept the new Mark, who helped others after he had destroyed their future with gambling. But she saw how the shelter affected him. A haunting sorrow was visible in his eyes. At that moment, Eleanor approached Mark, tears of gratitude in her eyes. You found a way. They are giving us housing, she said, sobbing. The application for subsidized housing was a maze, where proof of need was required at every turn. The piles of documents were so large they seemed capable of suffocating, designed to weed out those deemed unworthy. One day, while studying Eleanor's delicate file, Mark suddenly snapped out of it. A wave of nausea overwhelmed him. He realized that this scam was familiar, a twisted reflection of those he himself had once fallen for. A flash of memories engulfed Mark. His father scolded the promised investment returns that vanished into thin air. It was just a thread in a big, ugly puzzle. This thread led to a name. A slick real estate agent with a dazzling smile and eyes sharp as broken glass. Mark immediately knew what kind of guy this was. Such people prey on the vulnerable, twisting their schemes to appear legitimate. The odds were against them, but now Mark had a weapon forged by his bitter experience. Maybe he could recover at least some of what was stolen. It was not just a name. It was a spark of defiance. Enough in a world that had taken so much. Returning to the shelter felt like stepping back into the past. Anna was preparing for Mark's anger, for the accusations in his gaze. After all, she was the one who left. Mark hadn't slept. His suit was wrinkled, his eyes red from exhaustion, but there was a steel determination in them, the kind that appeared even before he met Anna. His voice trembled at first, then sounded confident. Words mean nothing now. But look, he spread out the files, the evidence neatly laid out on the table before them. I know this world and can fight, even when it seems hopeless. Let me fight for them, for us, for the chance to fix what I broke. Anya looked at the papers, her eyes shining with hope, mixed with the bitterness of years of experience. Mark's promises were all she had for too long. I know he didn't flinch. This is not a promise, Anya. This is a beginning. Every day is a fight for something good that can come out of this chaos. One afternoon, Tom approached, his stern expression softened by a glimpse of gratitude. He handed Mark a note from that very lawyer, the cool one, as he said. There is a chance to get compensation, to make the guilty party pay at least something for what he did to Mom. It's not a victory, not a restoration of what was lost, but a spark of justice. It was a sign of defiance against those who profited from their misfortunes. Anya waited outside, her presence both a comfort and a harsh reminder of what had been destroyed. Mark began to speak, his voice slightly trembling. I saw what you did for Eleonora and Tom. It doesn't erase what I did, Anya, he said, the weight of guilt still pressing on his shoulders. But maybe it proves that I'm fighting not only what happened there, he gestured to the side, but also what is inside me. Understanding warmed her eyes. Sometimes, she said, her voice growing stronger, internal battles leave the deepest wounds, but they teach us to heal. He reached out his hand, and she took it. The gesture was cautious, a fragile bridge. Can we at least try? He asked, a desperate hope flickering in his voice. Anya nodded. A tear slid down her cheek, leaving a sparkling trail. We can try, she repeated. It won't be easy, but fighters. Her voice trembled. Then she continued, fighters always find a way. It was a story of struggle and hope that touched their hearts. Did you like this story? Click the like button and subscribe to the channel to see more. Write in the comments one word describing how you feel. While you're here, watch the video currently on the screen. See you next time.